Live from tape, pre-recorded at our studios in Austin, Texas and Portland, Oregon, it's Syndicated with Lesley and Ben. Hey folks, I'm the Ben of that.
And I'm the Lesley. This is a podcast about television, genre, and storytelling in which we watch an episode of a show and explore the history of television one episode at a time.
Today we're doing something a little different. We are covering in a retrospective format our last season of Syndicated, or should I say our latest season of Syndicated. This is not the end of the show. We are moving on to our fifth season, but we wanted to take a moment to talk about our kind of international television findings. This was I'm not going to say a genre you and I were less familiar with, but
I was less familiar with it. I'll say
sure.
it.
But like, I mean, I've watched non-American TV, but
sure.
There's so much non-American TV.
Right.
That it would be possible to say meanwhile, I feel like I have watched a decent chunk of adult animated shows.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But there's so many international TV shows, it would be impossible to say I've even put a 1% dent in it.
Sure.
So this was largely like an exploratory season for you and I. You know, we asked people to just kind of bring things that in many cases, you know, when we did like adult animation, we were like, well, for sure, we got to talk about King of the Hill. You know,
exactly.
Here it was a little more open-ended. It was just kind of like, bring us something, I guess.
Yeah, just bring us some stuff. And we got some stuff. We got some really interesting stuff.
Yeah. So because the season was more exploratory and maybe we were like less familiar with, frankly, like Chef in My Fridge and whatnot, I thought it'd be fun to kind of like, you know, do a little bit of a retrospective and like talk about like what we learned, what we enjoyed. This is our final exam, I guess. I hope you studied.
I studied in as much as I watched these shows and then recorded podcasts with you about them. Does that count?
As recently as 2 years ago.
Ben, I missed you.
I missed you too. We haven't had a chance to, folks. Winter happens, the schedules get out of sync, and obviously Lesley and I are both hibernating animals, so
It's true, and on top of that, there is me gesturing wildly at what is happening in the year of our Lord 2026 in general, and what has been going on.
It is sometimes a little hard to justify recording your silly little television podcast. Like, not like morally to the universe, but like personally to yourself on a Saturday.
It can be tough. But here we are. We're doing it. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
I'm pumped. I'm psyched. Let's go.
Anyway, do you remember the content of a television show you watched at least 2.5 years ago? I might, if we talk about it long enough.
Sure. Let's try it. Let's see.
What did we learn? We covered, here, you know what? I'll read the shows. We covered, in reverse chronological order, I suppose, Chef in My Fridge, Rory Rocks, 9 Puzzles, Money Heist, Mobile Suit Gundam Witch from Mercury, The Untamed, 30 Coins, and Los Spookies.
Yes.
There was also another episode that we recorded that unfortunately did not make it to air that covered the Scandinavian detective show, Wallander. So, by and large, we covered quite a bit of East Asia and a handful of, Spanish and Latin American shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, not the entire world by far, but obviously there are some international markets that are more readily available to us than not.
Sure.
You know, we get a lot of Korean exported culture here in the United States. We get less South African or even like Hindi culture exported out here.
Yeah, I think that the most important thing that I learned is that in the attempt to do this season, it occurs to me that I may have an American-centric view.
Oh?
Of how diverse the world is, particularly when it comes to television. Because, you know, at the time, it seemed like a really fun, cool idea. It still seems like a fun, cool idea, but what I didn't account for was like the sheer volume of the pot. The potential was so vast that I think that while at the time it felt a little niche to be like, oh, let's just do Korea cooking shows, that probably would have slapped actually, because I feel like there are just like there's enough of all of that stuff in its that it exists in its own genre that just saying international TV left it was so vast in material that I'm pretty impressed that we were able to do what we were able to do.
Oh yeah. I think it's interesting that like to talk about like I guess the breadth of what's out there, but like what's made available to us is that like hypothetically television is not like physically restrained, right? It's broadcast media, and even so, we're actually kind of past the point of it's broadcasting, and that's what it's called when you from one source out to many is what broadcasting is. But it's not broadcasting in the sense of like antenna TV and satellite. Right. But like, it's broadcast. There's no physical limitations. Like they are not shipping. When we cover the Untamed, China is not shipping on massive container ships DVD box sets of the Untamed to us. Right. It's all available through the internet. It's all dispersed and all that. So like television now isn't like physically restrained. But we still have these, like, transportation lines in terms of what people bother to make available to, like, conventional American audiences. Mm-hmm. In a way where, while we can literally watch anything from anywhere around, the world or whatever, only certain kinds of things make it to the major streaming platforms or have any sort of cultural relevancy here in America. Such that, like, no, we are still just kind of like, we have strong cultural exchange with, like, Western Europe and Eastern Asia and, certain parts of Latin America. Like, you know what I mean? That, like, just because there is Greek TV does not necessarily mean that, like, HBO Max has a section that's like, here's all those Greek television shows you were all asking for.
Right, and also I want to point out that kind of... related to that thought is the realization that this is the main reason why everyone thinks that television from countries other than their own country is better, because that's what gets popular and makes it. There's shit TV everywhere. Like there's I hate to tell y'all this. England's got Mrs. Brown's Boys. Like there is shitty television absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, England pumps out so many bleak detective dramas that nobody, not even the English, care about.
And you know what's crazy about that, too, is that because of the fact that is, like, one of their favorite formats, the subplots just go crazy. They're all, they're all soap operas kind of packaged in these dark, gritty police procedural dramas, but really they're soap operas. Because that's the only thing that can differentiate them from one another. It's interesting for sure.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting that we're like not constrained physically anymore, but like there's still distribution lines and like cultural exchange that are like way more prominent than others. And like you said, we get the better ones. Nobody over here is familiar with like the third-rate Chinese fantasy soaps.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's the Untamed, which is the extremely popular one, or others
which is incredibly great.
Yeah. I mean, I ran into that problem this season a little bit with my research, and I know I articulated it during an episode. Is like I typically do like you might recognize this actor from something else they're in, sort of thing. And I would like look at these lists of especially like, I mean, actors that are like like a ton of like I'm thinking of I think Nine Puzzles was the one where somebody had like, just done like a fantasy movie or something, and I was like staring at that like listing or whatever. I'm like, right, but like, if the premise is you may know them from, does anybody know them from
anything?
It like literally is this a 4 TV movie that like 200,000 people saw, or is this like a major blockbuster that just never made it over here? I don't have the immediate, I mean, I can do a little digging, obviously, but I don't have, like, the immediate context of being like, oh, yeah, duh, they were in Taken 2.
Exactly. Yeah. But we also, didn't get the chance to be like, oh yeah, and I saw so and so on what's it,
Yeah. I remember her from Nurse Jackie.
Right. And so it was really interesting to walk into this genre. I mean, we call it a genre, but there's so much in. We've already been over that. But it was so interesting to walk into this category without much context at all, versus the like osmosis context that we had in pretty much every other genre category, simply because we watch American television all the time. So
yeah. I feel I knew
that was
plenty about The Wire before we ever turned on The Wire.
Exactly. Yeah.
Turns out I didn't, but anyway.
That day you learned. So
when you die in Baltimore, they just show your naked body to everyone.
I was going to say you die in real life.
Yeah. Do you remember that when they're like, "Hey, have you seen this guy before?" And it was just
yes!
an autopsy photo.
Yes.
Like not even like a photo of his face. It was just like, here's the whole body.
Here he is. You seen that one?
Hey man, I don't recognize this man by his dick.
Skill issue.
Can you zoom in on the face? It's a weird episode of that show. Anyway.
Strange episode.
The Wire.
Anyway, so yeah, we have watched some episodes of some international television. We've learned some things. We were entertained.
We were entertained.
Which one, Ben, do you think, which one was your favorite?
I don't want to say I like learned nothing in the sense that my favorite was the one I already liked. But man, 30 Coins is fun.
30 Coins is really fun. I also loved Nine Puzzles. I loved Money Heist just because I love heists. And what amused me the most about Money Heist, which I know I discussed in the episode, is like, why did I never watch that? Like, that's literally that's a huge thing with me, is heists. And the show is called Money Heist. Why would I not gravitate towards that immediately? So that amused me as well. And I have to say, obviously, like Ruri Rocks. Ruri Rocks was a funny one because it was my recommendation, and it definitely is like one of my favorites. However, I didn't come into this season knowing about it. Like, it didn't exist yet, actually.
Right, yeah.
When we started the season, I just happened to watch it, and I thought this would be great for Syndicated because that's what we're doing right now, and also it's awesome. So I didn't have like that bias, going in necessarily, the same way that you did with 30 Coins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What a delightful show.
So delightful.
And the episode that we watched for 30 Coins also was not one that I had previously seen either.
That's dope.
I think I'd only watched the first 2 episodes, I want to say. I don't know why I literally just don't go back. It is hard. I know.
Right. Like
I don't want to admit this on my television podcast that I do with you. I know. But like, it is hard for me to latch into a show.
It is. And I'll tell you another thing. Everything that I just told you about Money Heist and how surprising it was that I never watched it before, still haven't watched it since.
Well,
haven't got back to it.
I don't have a consistent Netflix subscription because I don't like them.
Well, perhaps you have heard of a little thing.
Well, hold on. Piracy. Is there a way to get television shows that don't involve the big streamers?
Believe it or not, there are.
Elaborate on that. What website?
It's called piracy.
Sure.
Well, I'm not going to. Well, so you can.
No, I know how to pirate TV, Leslie.
Okay.
I'm doing a talk. I'm doing a. Could you say that clearly into the microphone for our friends in the other room? I think the gentleman at Quantico may wish to hear this. That's not the FBI doesn't give a shit. That's not what they do.
They don't give a shit. Are you kidding me?
Wait, hold on. Which one? Wait, Quantico is the FBI. Where's this? Yes. Langley's the CIA. There we go.
Correct.
All right. Well, actually, the FBI.
That's what they tell us anyway. They tell us anyway.
Sure. Actually, the FBI does care. There's the FBI warnings about copyright or whatever at the beginning of
you wouldn't movie. Download a car.
Official FBI warning: do not duplicate or attempt to.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it would be the CIA that wouldn't give a shit about the movie piracy.
Correct. Yeah, the FBI actually does care.
All right. Sorry. I'm not apologizing to him. I was thinking that, like, obviously we kind of picked an anti-genre. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do know what you mean.
Adult animation, I guess, also is the case here. Adult animation is a format.
That's true. Okay. You bring up an excellent point, because within that, yes, but within that format, there were certainly different genres of television. You have adult animation that is action-based. You have adult animation that is like, could also go in workplace comedy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, workplace comedy, genre. Crime, genre.
Format.
International TV. Not a format, but like kind of more of a format than a genre.
Broad
in
category.
That it is the structure in which it comes to us, the structure being produced anywhere that isn't the United States.
Correct.
Although I believe we specified foreign language, so we didn't necessarily cover like Canadian TV.
Right.
Oh, we should have done a Quebec show.
I was about to say that would have been really fun, actually.
Does Letterkenny count? Because you can't fucking understand them without subtitles.
I think it might. It could.
I was recording a podcast the other day.
You might want to take about 10% off the top there.
I wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
That's a good show. I love Letterkenny. Have you watched Shoresy?
No, not yet.
I thought I wouldn't like it because the idea of a spinoff of Letterkenny did not appeal to me. Gotta say, it's solid.
Yeah, I was a little worried it was going to be like more of the same, but I saw one clip the other. I mean, it kind of is, but
saw a clip the other day. But it is different it's different enough that it stands on its own as its own thing, and I really don't think viewers will have needed to see Letterkenny at all to enjoy Shoresy, to be honest.
Oh, totally. I'm sure not.
And I like them both for completely different reasons. They're both good shows. Jared Kiso does good stuff.
I'm still on the team that says he should be the next Wolverine.
I've not seen that. I've not seen that take.
Dye his hair black. The way he does like the wide stance thing.
I can see it though, absolutely. Like as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Wide stance, grip on the belt buckle. Mm-hmm. How you doing there, bub?
That he's shaped like a triangle. He's got it all going for him.
Big old square face. Again, just grow out the hair and dye it black.
Yeah.
The best that ever was there, bud. Or fuck, what's the actual quote? I'm the best at what I do, bud, but just what I do ain't very nice.
Well, now that's something I need to see.
Anyway, yeah, we kind of picked like a non-genre. It is literally, truly anything that wasn't made in America. 50-minute dramas, our Money Heists and our 30 Coins. We did like kind of shorter comedies. Rory Rocks, honestly, I would consider a comedy for the most part.
It is. I would say it is, yeah.
Yeah. Los Spookies.
Los Spookies is definitely a comedy.
That was so fucking funny.
So fucking funny.
That one I need to go back and watch more of. I canceled my HBO Max subscription, though, simply because, as I texted you, that service is goddamn $19 now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So once again,
straight up, I
say...
that is a chunk of change. These services used to be $7.
Right, like back when it was less than a meal, although...
It kind of still is, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, although, inflation is such that meals are now also more expensive.
I really feel like I'm in the streets, like, rending my clothes, doing, like, Soylent Green is made of people, but I'm just like, Hulu used to be free!
God, I remember that! Remember when Hulu was $4.99? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And if you didn't, and if you wanted it ad-free, it was $7.99.
Soylent Green is made of people, and Netflix used to be $8!
God almighty.
Netflix used to come in the mail.
I actually think that this is kind of coming to a head, that the bubble's going to pop pretty soon in terms of the streaming wars. And I think that the end result is going to be that people are going to go back to physical media. That's my prediction. I know I am. I already am going back to physical media for a couple of reasons. First of all, obviously, if you can't hold it, you don't own it. Secondly, even, with pirating, that doesn't matter necessarily for shows like, say, for example, Scrubs, that had its music gone all wrong and changed in horrible ways because back when Scrubs aired, like the licensing didn't account for streaming. So in order for me to be able to watch the show that I love in the way that it was intended to be made, you have to have the DVDs. So, there's no other way.
I believe that also is the case for the first season or two of Supernatural, if my other Supernatural friends are led to be correct. Led to be correct?
That
Meant
is-
to be correct? Whatever.
That is correct. And also, don't get me started on how I can't watch House either because the theme song is fucked up.
Totally. Physical media like 3 years ago, maybe even whenever I started collecting like Criterion and like Shout Factory like discs and whatnot, used to be a niche thing. I'm trying not to like speak solely from my perspective and be like, is this, was it actually niche or was it just new to me? Is this something people broadly believe or two of my friends?
Well, I mean, it's your podcast. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Sure. But I try I try to step outside of my own brain for a second sometimes. But it does feel like it was like a niche thing. I felt like I might be... I'm a bit of a weirdo. To quote fucking Riverdale or whatever.
I'm a weirdo.
No, but I felt like me collecting like DVDs, or plenty of my friends do as well. It felt like a niche thing. It was like, oh, that's kind of like a quirkier thing we do, like 3 or 4 years ago. Whereas I feel like maybe everyone I know has like a vinyl player now, or you do, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I do. And also, Hector bought me a DVD player for my birthday, like a couple of years ago, which is delightful because as the hoarder that I am, I still had a number of DVDs, even though I had no way to play them because they took everything out of computers, which is its own topic for me to yell about at a different time.
I'm hardly the barometer or whatever, but I felt like that was like a niche thing that I was into. Was bothering like to collect these things. It probably wasn't. I mean, obviously for those like markets to exist, there had to be plenty of us. But I think they are getting way more prevalent, and I think maybe like that's kind of dripping down into the average consumer, not just like a specialty consumer. Not that it's niche, but it is specialty.
That is true. So I wonder actually how that is going to affect, though, exposure to and consumption of international television in the future.
Yeah, because then they do have to literally ship it.
Yeah. So I do wonder how that's going to... It's going to be interesting to find out, I think.
Yeah. It is odd, but yeah, I think people might be, in general, just frustrated with, like... I mean, say nothing of the market saturation of, like... But also market fragmentation of, like... Again, there used to be, like, the two. Even now, there's, like, the 6 major ones, but there's so many little... we've joked about AMC Plus existing.
Oh, my God, I know.
With its 7 shows. AMC Plus or Shudder or all these little, like, smaller niche movie. These, like, smaller niche ones existing or whatever, but I think people are just, like... They took the Looney Tunes off of HBO,
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Even things you would expect to
They took several seasons of SVU off of Peacock.
That's where it goes.
That's where it goes.
I think people were fine with like a rotating list of movies appearing on Netflix, but like Netflix destroying their own original creations or HBO being like, we don't care that much about Batman. You can get Batman somewhere else. I think it's starting to be a real deterrent that like there's just there's no consistency and 15 streamers.
Yeah, and to the point where I don't even feel comfortable. I don't even feel comfortable investing time or energy into a Netflix show because I know it's going to get hosed. You know, like I just know it's going to be awesome. There's going to be one season of it, and then they're going to cancel it because they don't understand how television works.
I think they've really, really eroded their trust. Over the course of like, I mean,
I would say like
shows
3
getting
years.
Nuked after 1 or 2 seasons.
One season
has been happening since like 2019 at least.
I can't even talk about. There are 2 Netflix original shows in particular that it just boils my blood that they got canceled because they were so good.
Speaking of more niche trends or whatever, like. I feel like that's a real like engagement bait on social media question. It's like, oh, what's one show you wish had whatever?
Yeah, the amount of times I see that
or whatever. Now it's like, fucking get in line. Like there's so many.
That's true. That's true.
people would lament like there was never a second season of Firefly, or like, oh, blank got canceled after its fourth season and we never got a satisfying end. That was in 2004 though, you know, or whatever. Now it's just like, buddy, there's quite a few of these. It's not even it's kind of not even an interesting question anymore, just because there's so many.
I could ask you to come up with 5, and I could come up with 5, and then we would have a list of 10. That's because there's so many.
I would say shout out to our next season, unfinished TV shows, but that'll just be how we watch TV shows anyway. I
mean, truly. Also, we would run into the same danger that we just ran into with this season, which is that's not a genre. That's just television.
No, of course it isn't. That's just TV. It still baffles me to this, and then we can pivot back to actually international TV. It still makes me so mad. I didn't even watch it. It just makes me mad that they shut down Westworld after 4 seasons and literally did not finish the show.
I know.
I don't think it's good when shows get canceled after 1 season, but after 4 and not the ending makes even less sense to me. Do you know what I mean?
And then there are those shows that like were renewed and then that got pulled. And so like they knew they were going to get renewed, so they ended things on a cliffhanger because they knew they were going to be able to resolve it. And then the networks were like, just kidding. I can't remember. There was a show in particular that did that a few years ago, and I can't remember which one it was, but it really pissed me off.
I don't know. There feels like a difference to me between like, hey, here's the 20% of a show. Is this something anybody likes? Okay, no, we'll pull it. Versus here's 80% of a book. No, you don't get to finish it. Fuck you.
Don't get to find out how it ends.
Go fuck yourself. Now, I know we spent $200 million getting it made. That's not important right now. Go fuck yourself.
Oh my God. And
but it would only be 20 more million to finish it. Yeah, and we don't have that.
Yeah.
We have to buy another company. So go fuck yourself.
And that's why AO3 is one of my most visited websites.
Yeah. No. Fuck you.
Fuck it, I'll finish it myself.
Fuck you. That money has to go to buying armor for Rings of Power.
Oh my God. Oh my God, please don't get me started on that either. Not Rings of Power specifically, but like spin-offs on spin-offs on spin-offs and IPs being run for every single thing that they possibly could be.
Yeah. Anyway, back to international TV.
International television.
But no, you're right. You're right. If the streaming bubble pops, and I mean, honest to God, I kind of hope it does. What if theaters were in movies again? Sorry, theaters were in movies? Try that again, Hamlin. What if movies were in theaters again? Wouldn't that be fucking super? What if the theatrical window was was more than 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll move away from like this kind of like internationalism when it comes to media. I don't think that'll be the case. I still think like things will be available on the internet, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think you will have to maybe more actively seek it out if we're in a purely like physical.
And I think that's a good thing.
Internet environment where you have to like.
I think that's a good thing, personally.
Yeah, where you have to go to specialty sites to watch like a K-pop concert or whatever.
Like I think that you know, your warm slop being served on a silver platter without you having to do a single thing or even lift a finger has been bad for TV, actually. And I don't think that's a hot take.
Sure. So I have a, not to give away my approximate location, but over here on the east side of Portland, there's a store called Movie Madness, which is, maybe I've never mentioned this to you, Leslie. I would be shocked if I hadn't. It's a movie rental store.
You've told me about Movie Madness, yeah.
We have a full-blown...
We have Wheel of Video here in Austin,
Wonderful.
Same thing.
Good, great.
Yeah.
It has been... I had been there a handful of times here and there, like literally like with a friend to... They have a prop and costume museum inside. But I've like been with a friend who's like, oh, I'm going to swing by Movie Madness. I had never checked anything out. Sometimes they do like inventory sales. One time I got like 7 DVDs for $20.
That's awesome.
Also some like good movies. Like I got like Casablanca. Like
oh, that's awesome.
God, what did I get? I got Casablanca, Hereditary.
Nice.
Hell or High Water, the Chris Pine Western from a couple years ago. Like I got like real motion pictures, and again, it was like $21 for 7 films.
Gotta love it.
But it has been genuinely refreshing to, instead of like opening the apps and being like watching like 5 minutes of something and then remembering something else was on a different service and then being like, oh, I'll watch that instead, and then I don't really feel like this one right now, yada yada yada. It has been so like mentally clarifying to walk into the store, browse, grab something off the shelf and be like, this is what I am watching tonight. I have to because I got it.
It's a great feeling.
And like, you know, I mean, they literally do have television box sets in there, but like,
they do.
You, even if, and I realize I'm talking about movies there, but like, it feels nice to like just pick something on purpose.
Yeah, man.
And to like, I mean, that's one of the reasons it's hard to like latch on to maybe a television show for me or whatever, is there's so many options out there and there's so much available to me that I have unless the plot is extremely compelling, I have no necessarily like reason to hold on to all 5 seasons of something or to keep going on all 5 seasons of something.
Yeah.
I can like get as much to my satisfaction level and then I'll spin off to something else or whatever. But yeah, no, I think like to what you're saying, like I think streaming has kind of been bad for TV in that sense. It's just, I think people just get like choice paralysis, or you know,
absolutely.
if everything is constantly available, then nothing feels special.
Absolutely. That's all true. And it's what you just said. It's what you just touched on, which is there is something to the process of being presented with ample but limited options.
Yeah.
Making a choice, sticking with that choice, that being part of your entertainment. Like, it's all part of it. And I think it's a good thing. I just think it's ultimately a good thing to be able to do that, and I wish that we could do it more. And I'm glad that you and I are able to do it in the capacity that we can.
May there be movie rental stores in Denver and New York City, and
there's a great
Detroit
one in Tucson.
Sure, hell yeah.
Yep. There's a great one in Tucson. I don't remember what it's called right now, but I go there every time I go to Tucson. Rent a video. They got a little bar in there. It's super cute.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe these, if they aren't already there, may these pop up in every city in the country.
Inshallah.
Truly. Back more to international television. Although, I mean, I really do think that, yeah, like, I mean, the reason we are exposed to so much is because of, like, the way the current media environment is structured, right?
Absolutely.
The way we get so much international TV is in this kind of media environment. I am a little too young to experience it directly myself, but you know, I've heard so many people describe like the 90s in anime, or even the 80s in anime, where it's just like, yeah, you just kind of had to like either order or find specialty VHS tapes to watch Sailor Moon or what have you. And then just like, I mean, for me, they were available at my local Hollywood Video, but even so, and like, it was a big deal when like Toonami came around and was like, here, you can watch it on television for real.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that.
But it's like harder. It's harder when it's all physical VHS and whatnot. And like,
yeah, but now that you mentioned that, I do wonder how much more exposure in a different way international television would get. Because like, you know, definitely like we were exposed to anime and stuff, you know, from Toonami and stuff like that. And so like, are we going to see the return of those types of services? Like
specialty, like Toonami, like,
yeah.
I mean, Crunchyroll. Yeah.
Well, Crunchyroll exists. Sure. Yeah. Interesting.
I think it will maybe be more something you have to seek out in that sense.
Yeah. I think so too.
That's fine, because then you're watching with intention to a degree.
Which is what we were just talking about.
Although I am sure there will still be distribution deals that, to what extent streaming exists in 3 years, I am certain that there will still be like, you know, random Korean and Japanese shows on HBO and Netflix and what have you.
Oh yeah, like
or
like
whatever.
we'll
Whatever the hyper Paramount Max is
right.
called.
But yeah, we'll definitely still get our Squid Games and whatnot.
Yes,
we'll still get those.
We will be getting Squid Games. It's just a matter of whether or not it's fiction.
Yikes.
Hey.
See, this is why we haven't recorded in a while.
It's been a bit of a bummer, folks.
Bit of a bummer out there.
Do we want to talk about like the substance of the shows themselves? I'm fascinated by the editing. I'm still thinking about Chef in my fridge and the like on-screen emojis. Do you know what I mean?
I think that talking about it broadly, I would like to say that being exposed to the cultural norms in television editing, which was obviously the most apparent in Chef in My Fridge, but existed all over, was something that was really fascinating and not something that I had considered before. Like you think about the different languages and you think about different cultural representation in terms of how the world works in different countries. What you don't think about is like how like memes and stuff work in different countries.
Sure.
And like how that language, like again with Chef in My Fridge, all the emojis, all of the cuts and the music and the sound effects,
picture stuff.
All of that stuff is a very specific style and culturally that's just very interesting to me. And I think that's one of the things that I'm the most grateful to take away from this fun experimental season was learning about the different cultural effects on editing of television shows.
Totally. And like stuff like 30 Coins did just feel like a straightforward like prestige TV show that we would have here. Obviously there isn't with maybe some exceptions, like Spain's culture is not wildly different from ours.
Right.
They are simply just speaking Spanish. And they have more castles and also different foods. But there is a shared visual language between our two cultures because it's Western Europe and the United States.
One thing I'll say is that I think that it really fascinated me to realize, that, how do I put this? Going back to, different cultures having different ways of editing television shows and watching television shows and producing television shows is that, when you watch anime, you're like, oh yes, this is anime. That's an anime thing. But for some reason, it just never occurred to me that would exist in other genres. That there would be a signature like that.
Yeah.
Like there is in Chef in My Fridge, for example.
In Ruri Rocks, where it like cuts to like still infographic like images like those.
Yes.
That was what we praised about that show was like when it did like, by the way, here's like a quick summary of how quartz works or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
The diagrams, the kind of like literal reactions that we're so familiar with like manga and anime, like the teardrop thing.
Yeah.
And the anger symbol. I just realized I don't know what any of these are actually called, but the one.
You mean like the little star, like the little anger star?
Yeah.
That's
the
like
four
right
curved
here.
lines that make like a diamond.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm adjusting my blanket that's on my seat, so don't pay attention to what I'm doing.
I won't.
Just keep talking. There we go. Stop it. Anyway.
That those are all obviously affect how their live action TV is worked. And obviously we took a pretty small sample. But even so, like when we covered the Korean show Chef in My Fridge, it reminded me of the Japanese live action shows that I watched in the thing I did after high school.
Yeah.
Like the Takeshi's Castle and all those other kind of game shows that had like those like picture-in-picture elements where it like really prioritized like reaction shots or like weird captions.
Right.
It takes the same tools that we all have at our disposal, right? Text on screen, picture-in-picture, I guess transitions like star wipes and what have you. It just uses them in like a different order and with different frequencies, and that's like the difference between Wallander, which very much feels like British TV, and Chef in My Fridge, which feels very different just because it's a different energy. Like the fact that like the host picks up a camera for a while and like starts to film things like, there's like a reliance on like point of view in a cooking show. That doesn't happen. Rachel Ray does not have like doesn't flag her cameraman over and is like, by the way, get up on this salmon here.
Right. It'd be more interesting if she did. Just saying.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Most of those cooking, like our cooking shows are always very like, or at least, sorry, I'm referring to cooking shows of like 15 years ago. I just realized I don't know what a cooking show looks like now. Great British Bake Off, I guess, is what a cooking show looks like now. But like I'm thinking about like
guess.
studio, like Rachel Ray, Barefoot Contessa, all the Food Network stuff is like very just like straight on studio audience like filmed, right?
Yeah, like if when you say the words cooking show to me, the first thing I think is there is a large table, there are a bunch of ingredients, there's somebody behind it, probably with a guest. They're both wearing aprons. Now they're going to teach us how to cook the thing.
Yeah, in a fake kitchen set.
Right, definitely, it's its own established aesthetic.
Yeah, whereas the Brits obviously invented doing it in a tent.
Clearly.
It's just interesting. It's different. It's different frequencies. It's different angles. It's different. It's the same tools. Like it's all cameras. It's just we watched some animated shows, so not really. But it's all cameras.
It's a language in itself, Ben.
It really is.
Which is really interesting.
Editing is the medium. I liked it. I'm glad we did this.
I'm glad we did this too. I'm glad that we did this. It was interesting. It was fun. It was different. It was weird. I saw things that I never would have seen. I have made observations about how entertainment works and how television works that I never would have made. Overall net positive. I liked it. Glad we did it.
There you go. You also just said like made observations about how television works. Like now I know. Now I know what it looks like when it isn't from here. Like this helps clarify my understanding of the stuff that is made like natively for me as the audience.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point too. Makes you kind of look inside a little bit.
Or you know what? I hadn't mentioned it as much, but like the very like melodramatic editing of The Untamed.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's heightened in a very different way. There's like all these kind of like whooshes,
Well, and if you think about like telenovelas have a very distinct style.
A very distinct editing style, often parodied.
Often parodied, very distinct editing style, all that kind of stuff. Just things that I did not really pay that much attention to before doing this season of this podcast. So, yeah, definitely glad I did it.
Mm-hmm. That being said, you and I are moving on. We have already selected what our next season is going to be, although we are actually not quite done with international television. We are going to record one more episode for this season that we'll be making available a little bit down the line. I need to confirm our plans, I guess, before I'm going to announce that. But
with our guest.
But we are in for a fun time going ahead because Lesley, you and I are going to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Yeah, damn right.
We have often talked about it, but we've decided that it is finally time to approach science fiction head on.
Science fiction, baby! I'm so excited.
Whether that is Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica or Doctor Who, or perhaps even more less obvious examples. Like, honestly, I mean, half of Twilight Zone is kind of sci-fi.
Oh, 1,000%. Ben,
to serve
the sci-fi world is our oyster, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
It's
not just... All that to say, it's not just going to be TARDISes and Enterprises.
Right, it's not... Yeah, you're gonna hear some familiar stuff, and you're gonna hear of some new stuff that hopefully you've never heard of before.
Yeah,
I want to hear about some stuff I've never heard of before, for sure.
Some Twilight Zone. I started watching For All Mankind, the alternate history space race show.
Yeah,
I kind of argue that is science fiction. It is. What if science happened differently? Is also science fiction.
Well, that's lit. Ben, repeat what you just said.
Yeah, I know.
That's technically correct is the best kind of correct. You do not get more correct than that. That is literally what it is.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I love that kind of stuff a lot. I took there's a book I'm going to reread, hopefully before we really start rolling, or maybe as we're rolling. That is one that was assigned to me in the thing I did after high school. Where you make fun of me every time I say college, so I'm just going to avoid saying it.
I know. I just thought it was really funny. I caught it the first time, too, and I was like, did he just... I'm teasing you.
I'm a man of letters.
Anyway, so for that thing you did after high school...
It was literally... I can never remember what it's actually called, and it's attached to my Google Books account, and I'm going to be honest, I don't have that on my phone.
Sure.
But it is like a genre overview of science fiction, and something that like really opened my eyes is it like there's a section of the book that like established like the nine not tropes but like themes that science fiction can cover.
Okay.
And it was like the idea that like it is the alteration of the body, it's the manipulation of time and space, it's other things, but it was like these are the themes on which it operates, such that things like obviously Star Trek count, but then like alteration to the body is like how The Fly counts. You know?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
That it's like, yeah, human innovation, human exploration, alterations to time and space, alterations to the body, etc. Invading technology or something. You know, it was these ideas that are like, this is why science fiction is because it grapples with these themes. Once it stops grappling with these themes, it is a different genre. I'm going to reread that book because it was not very long. In the first place, it was like a little like academic.
What's it called? I want to read
it.
Yeah,
fuck it. I'll bring it up now. It was not very long. I'm not going to give you a page count because I don't remember. But it was like
That's
it's
fine.
like academic writing. It's like
yeah. What's it? So it's probably like 150 to 180 pages ish or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to this. It is Science Fiction Film: A Critical Introduction. It is only 193 pages, but that might be based off of the font size that I've selected. Mm-hmm. I'm rewinding such that I can get to the... Here it is, by Keith M. Johnston.
Okay. Keith M.
There is a little... Cool. It's a picture on the front is of the rocket landing into the moon's eye. From the journey to the moon, etc., etc.
From the Méliès film.
Yeah. I finally saw that. It's a fun time.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I scrolled ahead real quick. It's 160 pages. The last 30 are citations.
Remember that time I said it was somewhere between 150 and 180 pages, probably?
And
I read academic books.
And you were, in fact, extremely correct.
Extremely correct. That's awesome. I'm going to check this out for sure.
Yeah, but I'm excited. This is obviously a genre I'm passionate about, you know? The future keeps bearing down on us in different ways, so it'll be nice to kind of tackle it head on here.
Yeah. I agree.
That being said, yeah, like I said, we have one more international television episode in the works. That'll be available on our main feed. We may start our science fiction season before that, but obviously we will clearly label when that happens, and we'll let you all know when that does happen. And then Lesley and I also kind of had a little conversation where we decided that, like, hey, if an interesting adult animation show comes out, there's nothing stopping us from covering it on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Like, we can just watch Smiling Friends or whatever, and... to pick one at random, I don't know.
Yeah.
And talk about it on the Patreon. So, you know, patreon.com/Infinity Break. You can check out all of our work at infinitybreak.net. You can follow Lesley and I on Blue Sky. Thank you so much for listening. Tell your friends about Syndicated. We're going to be rolling out our 5th season. Once again, boldly going where no podcast has gone before. That's right. No podcast has ever discussed Star Trek.
Never. First
Nerds
time. Get hype.
Talking about Star Trek. I'm Ben. That's Lesley. This has been Syndicated. We'll see you next season.
Thank you. See you next time.